Marcus Williams pushed his bedroom door shut and threw his backpack into the corner. The zipper was broken again, and his math book fell out onto the floor. He did not pick it up. He just sat on his bed and put his face in his hands. The day had been bad, really bad. Jake Morrison had knocked his lunch tray out of his hands in front of everyone in the cafeteria. Spaghetti and meatballs had splattered all over his white sneakers and the floor. All the kids had laughed. Even some of the girls had giggled behind their hands. Then in gym class, Tony Cruz had accidentally pushed him into the lockers when the teacher was not looking. Marcus's shoulder still hurt from hitting the metal door. The worst part was that no one said anything. They all just looked away like nothing happened. Marcus wiped his eyes with his sleeve. He was 10 years old, but he felt much older sometimes. His mom worked 2 jobs and would not be home until late. His dad lived in another city now, and only called on weekends if he remembered. The front door opened downstairs. Marcus heard the familiar sound of Mrs. Carter's shoes clicking on the kitchen floor. She always wore the same black shoes with small heels that made noise when she walked. She had been his babysitter for almost 2 years now, ever since his parents got divorced. "Marcus, honey, I'm here." Mrs. Carter called up the stairs. Her voice was soft and kind, like it always was. She was old, maybe 70, with gray hair that she kept in a neat bun. She wore simple dresses and always smelled like lavender soap. Marcus did not answer. He just stared at the wall where his dad had helped him put up a poster of the solar system last Christmas. Jupiter looked so big and mysterious in the picture. Sometimes Marcus wished he could fly away to one of those distant planets where no one knew him. Mrs. Carter's shoes clicked up the wooden stairs. She knocked gently on his door. "Marcus, can I come in, sweetheart?" Marcus sighed. "Yeah." Mrs. Carter opened the door slowly. She looked at Marcus sitting on his bed with red eyes and messy hair. She looked at the math book on the floor and the broken backpack in the corner. Her face got the same sad look it always did when she could tell he had been crying. "Rough day?" she asked quietly. Marcus nodded. He did not trust his voice yet. Mrs. Carter came into the room and sat down on the bed next to him. The old mattress creaked under her weight. She did not say anything for a while. She just sat there with him in the quiet room. "You know," Mrs. Carter said after a few minutes, "when I was your age, there was a boy named Billy Thompson who used to pull my hair and call me names." Marcus looked at her. He had trouble imagining Mrs. Carter as a little girl. "What did you do?" he asked. "Well, at first I cried a lot, just like you're doing now. And that's okay. Sometimes crying is what we need to do." She smoothed down her dress with her hands. "But then my grandmother gave me something very special, something that helped me understand that I was stronger than I thought." Mrs. Carter stood up and walked over to her purse, which she had set down by the door. It was a big brown leather purse that looked very old. She opened it and reached deep inside, moving things around like she was looking for something specific. "Ah, here it is," she said. She pulled out something wrapped in a soft blue cloth. It was about the size of a small book, but it felt heavier than it looked. Mrs. Carter unwrapped it carefully like it was made of glass. Inside the cloth was the most beautiful thing Marcus had ever seen. It looked like a tablet, but not like the kind people used for watching videos. This one seemed to be made of some kind of crystal that was clear, but also had colors swirling inside it. The surface was smooth except for strange symbols that were carved deep into the crystal. The symbols looked like no writing Marcus had ever seen before. "What is it?" Marcus asked. He forgot about being sad for a moment. "I'm not entirely sure," Mrs. Carter said honestly. "My grandmother gave it to me when I was about your age. She said it had been in our family for many generations. She told me it would only work for someone truly special, someone who needed to understand their own strength." Mrs. Carter held the crystal tablet out to Marcus. "She also said I would know when I met the right person to give it to." Marcus looked at the strange object. "You want to give this to me?" "I want you to hold it," Mrs. Carter said, "just to see what happens." Marcus reached out slowly and took the crystal tablet from her hands. The moment his fingers touched the surface, something amazing happened. The tablet began to glow with a soft blue light, just like the cloth it had been wrapped in. The light was warm and gentle, not bright enough to hurt his eyes. The strange symbols on the surface started to move, shifting and changing like they were alive. Mrs. Carter gasped and stepped back. "Oh my," she whispered. The symbols on the tablet were rearranging themselves, and somehow Marcus could understand what they meant. It was like reading English, but the words were appearing in his mind instead of his eyes. The message was simple but powerful. "Welcome, young guardian. You have been chosen." Marcus looked up at Mrs. Carter, who was staring at the glowing tablet with wide eyes and an open mouth. "Mrs. Carter," Marcus said, his voice shaking a little. "What's happening?" She sat back down next to him, never taking her eyes off the tablet. "I don't know, honey. In all the years I've carried that thing, it never did anything like this. It was just a family heirloom, or so I thought." The blue light from the tablet got a little brighter, and more symbols appeared on its surface. Marcus found that he could read them all, even though he had never seen this kind of writing before. "It's trying to tell me something," Marcus said. "Something about teachers and a gift for humanity." Mrs. Carter's hand flew to her chest. "Teachers? What kind of teachers?" Marcus concentrated on the symbols. The tablet felt warm in his hands, and the warmth was spreading up his arms and into his chest. It made him feel stronger somehow, like the sadness and hurt from the day at school was melting away. "Not human teachers," Marcus said slowly, reading the symbols as they appeared. "Teachers from somewhere else, somewhere far away." The tablet pulsed with light once more, and then the glow faded to a gentle shimmer. The symbols stopped moving, but Marcus could still feel their meaning in his mind. He looked at Mrs. Carter, who was watching him with amazement and something that might have been fear. "Mrs. Carter," Marcus said quietly, "I think this thing has been waiting for me." 3 weeks had passed since Mrs. Carter gave Marcus the crystal tablet. Every day after school, he would rush to his room and lock the door. Then he would take the tablet from its hiding place under his mattress and watch it come alive in his hands. The tablet had taught him so many things already. It showed him pictures that moved like videos, but they appeared right in the air above the crystal surface. Marcus learned that the teachers Mrs. Carter had mentioned were called the Keepers. They were an ancient race of beings who had traveled among the stars for thousands of years. The Keepers looked nothing like humans. In the moving pictures, Marcus could see that they were tall and thin, with skin that seemed to glow with soft light. Their eyes were large and dark, and they moved in a way that reminded Marcus of dancers. But the most amazing thing about them was how peaceful they seemed. Even when the tablet showed them solving big problems or stopping conflicts between other alien races, they never looked angry or afraid. Marcus sat on his bed with the tablet glowing in his lap. Today it was showing him something new. The symbols that appeared were different from the ones he had seen before, and they made his heart beat faster with excitement. "Humans," the tablet told him through the symbols, "are special in ways they do not understand." Pictures began to appear above the crystal. Marcus saw images of different alien races from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant insects with many arms and legs. Others were like living rocks that moved very slowly. There were creatures that looked like they were made of water, and others that seemed to be pure energy floating in space. Each race follows one path, the symbols continued. The Zenthari think only with logic. They solve problems with mathematics and science, but they cannot understand feelings or art. The Emotai feel everything very deeply, but they cannot think clearly when they need to make hard choices. The Korthak follow only their instincts, like animals, and they are strong but cannot plan for the future. Marcus watched as the tablet showed him examples of each race. The Zenthari built amazing machines and cities that looked like perfect geometric shapes, but their world seemed cold and empty. The Emotai created beautiful music and art that made Marcus want to cry, but their cities were chaotic and falling apart because they could not organize themselves. The Korthak were incredible fighters and hunters, but they lived in simple caves and never built anything that lasted. But humans, the symbol said, and Marcus leaned forward eagerly. Humans are different. New pictures appeared. Marcus saw images of Earth and of people doing all kinds of things. He saw scientists working in laboratories but also laughing and joking with their friends. He saw artists painting beautiful pictures but also using their creativity to solve practical problems. He saw soldiers fighting to protect others but also showing mercy and kindness to their enemies. Humans have logic like the Zenthari, the AI tablet explained. But they also have emotions like the Emotai, and they have instincts like the Korthak. Most amazing of all, humans can use all three at the same time. Marcus thought about this. He remembered his teacher, Mr. Davis, who was really good at math but also told funny jokes that made the whole class laugh. He thought about his mom, who worked hard at her jobs but also sang silly songs while she made breakfast. Even the bullies at school, like Jake and Tony, were not just mean. Sometimes Marcus had seen them being kind to younger kids or helping with school projects. This is why the keepers have been searching, the symbols continued. For thousands of years we have kept peace in the galaxy. We have solved problems that no single race could handle alone. But we are old now, and few of us remain. We need successors. We need a race that can think and feel and act with wisdom. The tablet showed Marcus images of the keepers working with different alien races. He saw them stopping wars, helping planets that were dying, and teaching younger races how to travel between the stars. But in every picture, the keepers looked tired. Their glowing skin seemed dimmer, and there were fewer of them in each image. Many races have been tested, the symbols told him. We have left these teaching devices on thousands of worlds, but none have ever activated until now. Marcus felt a strange mix of pride and fear. He was proud that humans were special, but he was also scared about what that might mean. Why me? He asked the tablet out loud, even though he knew it could not hear him speak. But somehow new symbols appeared as if it had heard his question. You were not chosen because you are the strongest or the smartest human, the tablet replied. You were chosen because you understand suffering, but you have not let it make you cruel. You have been hurt, but you still care about others. You are afraid, but you do not run away from what is right. Marcus thought about the bullies at school. Even after all the mean things they had done to him, he had never wanted to hurt them back. When Jake had gotten in trouble for cheating on a test last week, Marcus had actually felt sorry for him. And when Tony's grandmother had died and he missed school for a week, Marcus had thought about asking Mrs. Carter to make some cookies to bring to Tony's family. The keepers believe, the symbols continued, that this balance of heart and mind and courage is what makes humans ready to help guide the galaxy. More pictures appeared showing Marcus what looked like a beautiful city among the stars. The buildings were made of the same crystal as the tablet, and they sparkled with many colors. Beings from different worlds lived and worked together in harmony. Marcus could see Zenthari and Emotai and Korthak, but also many other races he had not seen before, all living peacefully in the same place. This is the Keeper homeworld, the tablet explained. Here representatives from across the galaxy come to ask for help with problems they cannot solve alone. The Keepers listen to all sides and find solutions that work for everyone. The scene changed, and Marcus saw the Keepers themselves. There were not many of them left, maybe only a few dozen. They moved slowly, like they were very tired, and their glow was getting dimmer. Soon we will need to pass this responsibility to others, the symbol said. The question is, are humans ready? Marcus looked at the images of his own planet that the tablet was now showing him. He saw wars and pollution and people being mean to each other. But he also saw acts of kindness, incredible discoveries, and people working together to solve big problems. He saw doctors helping sick people, teachers caring for students, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things to help their neighbors. I think we could be ready, Marcus whispered to the tablet. But we would need help learning how. New symbols appeared, and these made Marcus sit up straight with surprise. The help is coming, the tablet told him. Others have noticed that this device has awakened. Both friends and enemies are now aware that Earth exists. Soon humans will have to prove that they are truly ready to join the greater community of worlds. The tablet's glow began to fade, which usually meant the lesson was over for the day. But before the light disappeared completely, one last set of symbols appeared. Prepare yourself, young guardian. The time of testing approaches. Marcus held the now quiet crystal in his hands and looked out his bedroom window at the stars that were just becoming visible in the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, beings from other worlds were making decisions about Earth and about humanity's future. For the first time in weeks, Marcus was not thinking about the bullies at school or his problems at home. He was thinking about something much bigger, and surprisingly, he was not afraid. He was excited. Marcus woke up on a Saturday morning to the sound of his mother screaming downstairs. He jumped out of bed and ran to his window. Outside, the sky was filled with lights that definitely did not belong there. Two massive ships hung in the air above his neighborhood. One was beautiful and white, shaped like a giant flower made of crystal petals. It glowed with the same soft light as his tablet. The other ship was dark and angular, like a black knife cutting through the sky. Red lights pulsed along its edges in a pattern that made Marcus feel uneasy. The crystal tablet on his nightstand was glowing brighter than it had ever glowed before. Marcus grabbed it and ran downstairs. His mother was standing in the kitchen, still in her pajamas, staring out the window with her hands over her mouth. "Mom, it's okay," Marcus said, though his heart was beating very fast. "Marcus, what are those things?" his mother asked. Her voice was shaking. Before Marcus could answer, the tablet in his hands began projecting symbols into the air. But this time, the symbols were not just appearing on the surface. They were floating in the space above the crystal, glowing bright blue and spinning slowly. "The keepers have arrived," the symbols said. "The Dominion has also come. The test begins now." Marcus's mother stepped back from the floating words. "Marcus, what is that thing? How is it doing that?" "It's hard to explain, Mom," Marcus said. "But I think some people from space want to meet us." Outside, both ships were lowering toward the ground. The white crystalline ship settled gently in the park across the street. The dark ship landed in the school parking lot 2 blocks away, and Marcus could see that the grass around it was turning black. Mrs. Carter's voice came from the front porch. Marcus, honey, are you all right?" Marcus and his mother went to the front door. Mrs. Carter was standing on the porch steps, looking up at the ships. But she did not look surprised or scared like everyone else in the neighborhood. She looked worried, but also like she had been expecting this. "Mrs. Carter," Marcus said, "did you know this was going to happen?" She looked at him with sad eyes. "I hoped it would not happen so soon. But yes, I knew this might come." The tablet in Marcus's hands projected new symbols. "A representative from each ship is approaching this location. The young guardian must choose which to meet first." Marcus looked at Mrs. Carter. "What should I do?" "Follow your heart," she said quietly. "That's what humans do best." 2 figures were walking down the street toward Marcus's house. One came from the direction of the white ship. She was tall and graceful with skin that glowed like moonlight. Her movements were smooth and peaceful, and she wore simple white robes that seemed to float around her as she walked. This had to be one of the keepers from the tablet's lessons. The other figure came from the direction of the dark ship. He was shorter and broader, wearing black armor that covered his entire body, except for his head. His skin was gray and rough like rock, and his eyes were small and red. When he walked, his heavy boots made cracks in the concrete sidewalk. "Mom, I need you to trust me," Marcus said. "I'm going to talk to them." "Marcus, no," his mother said, grabbing his arm. "Those are aliens. We don't know if they're dangerous." "One of them is," Mrs. Carter said quietly. "But Marcus is right. He needs to do this." Marcus walked down the front steps and into the middle of the street. The 2 alien beings stopped when they saw him. The glowing woman smiled gently. The armored man scowled. "Greetings, young human," the woman said. Her voice was like soft music. "I am Zara of the Keepers. We have come because you awakened one of our teaching devices." "I am Commander Vex of the Dominion," the gray alien said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "We have come to end this threat before it begins." Marcus held up the tablet, which was still glowing. "What threat? We haven't done anything wrong." Zara stepped closer. "You have done nothing wrong, child. In fact, you have done something wonderful. No being in thousands of years has been able to activate a keeper teaching device. This proves that humans have the potential we have been searching for." Commander Vex made a sound like angry growling. "Potential for chaos. Potential for disruption. The galaxy has order now. Peace through control. Your species will destroy that balance." Marcus looked back and forth between them. More people were coming out of their houses now, pointing at the ships and the aliens. He could hear sirens in the distance. Police cars and news vans would be here soon. "I don't understand," Marcus said. "Why would we destroy anything? We're not even advanced enough to travel to other planets yet." Zara knelt down so she was at Marcus's eye level. "That is exactly why you are so remarkable. Despite being young as a species, humans show the same wisdom that took the Keepers millennia to develop. You balance thought and feeling and action in ways that no other race has ever achieved." "That balance is dangerous," Commander Vex interrupted. "Emotion leads to unpredictable decisions. Creativity leads to weapons we cannot defend against. Your species will become too powerful to control." Marcus thought about what the tablet had taught him about the different alien races. The Zenthari, with their pure logic, the Emotai with their overwhelming feelings, the Korthak with their simple instincts. Each was limited in their own way. "You're afraid of us because we're different," Marcus said to Commander Vex. "But being different doesn't make us dangerous. Every species believes they are peaceful," Vex replied, "until they gain power. The Dominion has brought order to 300 worlds by eliminating threats before they can grow strong enough to cause problems." "You destroyed 300 worlds?" Marcus asked, feeling sick. "We brought them peace," Vex said coldly. "Permanent peace." Zara stood up, and for the first time she looked angry. "The Dominion's peace is the silence of the grave. They destroy anything they cannot understand or control." Marcus looked at the tablet in his hands. New symbols were appearing, but these were different from any he had seen before. They seemed urgent and bright. "The choice point approaches," the symbol said. "The young guardian must decide the path for his species, accept guidance and growth, or face elimination and silence." Marcus realized that this was not just a meeting. This was exactly what the tablet had warned him about, a test. But it was not a test of knowledge or strength. It was a test of what kind of people humans really were. "What happens if I choose to go with you?" Marcus asked Zara. "You and other humans would come to our homeworld for training," she replied. "You would learn to use your unique abilities to help solve problems across the galaxy. Eventually, humans would take over the role of peacekeepers from the aging keepers." "And if I refuse?" Commander Vex stepped forward. "If you refuse to submit to Dominion authority, your planet will be cleansed before your species can become a threat to galactic stability." Marcus felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. The lives of everyone on Earth, his mother, Mrs. Carter, even the bullies at school, all depended on what he said next. But as he looked at the two aliens waiting for his answer, Marcus realized something important. The tablet had not chosen him to make this decision alone. It had chosen him to represent the best of what humans could be. "I need to talk to other people first," Marcus said. "This decision affects everyone on Earth, not just me." Zara nodded, approvingly. "Wise words. How long do you need?" 3 days, Marcus said, thinking of how long it would take for world leaders to gather and discuss this situation. Commander Vex made that grinding sound again. 3 days. Then we will have your final answer." As the two aliens walked back toward their ships, Marcus looked at the tablet one more time. The symbols were calm now, glowing softly. "Well done, young guardian," they said. "Now comes the true test. Can humanity unite when it matters most?" The next 3 days were the busiest in human history. News reporters from every country came to Marcus's small town. Scientists, government officials, and military leaders all wanted to talk to the 10-year-old boy who had somehow become the spokesperson for the entire human race. Marcus sat in his living room, which was now filled with important people from around the world. The President of the United States was there, along with leaders from China, Russia, and many other countries. They had all flown in on emergency flights after seeing the alien ships on television. Mrs. Carter sat next to Marcus, holding his hand. She had refused to leave his side, even when the Secret Service agent said it might be safer for her to go somewhere else. The crystal tablet rested on the coffee table in front of them, glowing softly as it translated conversations between different languages. "Let me understand this correctly," said President Williams, a tall woman with kind eyes. "These keepers want to take some of our people to their homeworld for training?" Marcus nodded. "Zara said they would teach us how to help solve problems across the galaxy. Eventually humans would become the new peacekeepers when the keepers get too old." "And the other aliens, the Dominion, they want to destroy us?" asked Chancellor Muller from Germany. "Commander Vex said they would cleanse our planet if we don't submit to their authority," Marcus replied. "He thinks humans are too dangerous because we can think and feel and act all at the same time." General Rodriguez from Mexico leaned forward. "How many ships does this Dominion have? Can we fight them?" Marcus looked at the tablet. New symbols appeared, answering the general's question. "The tablet says the Dominion has thousands of ships and has destroyed 300 worlds. We wouldn't be able to fight them with our current technology." The room fell silent. Marcus could see the worry on everyone's faces. "So our choices are to submit or be destroyed?" asked Prime Minister Chen from Australia. "Those are the choices they gave us," Marcus said. "But I don't think those are our only options." President Williams raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see both alien ships still sitting where they had landed 3 days ago. People from all over the world had come to see them. There were families with children, scientists with equipment, and even street artists who were painting pictures of the ships. "The keepers have been looking for someone to replace them," Marcus said. "And the Dominion is afraid of what we might become. But what if we didn't have to choose between those two paths?" Mrs. Carter squeezed his hand encouragingly. "Tell them your idea, honey." Marcus turned back to the room full of world leaders. "What if we stayed on Earth but still learned from the keepers? What if we proved to the Dominion that humans can be trusted without giving up our freedom?" "How would we do that?" asked President Williams. Marcus picked up the tablet. "The keepers have been peacekeepers for thousands of years, but there are not many of them left. The Dominion keeps order by destroying anything they don't understand. But humans are different. We could find a third way." The tablet began projecting images into the air above the coffee table. Everyone in the room leaned forward to watch. "Show them the problems the galaxy is facing," Marcus said to the tablet. The images showed different worlds with different troubles. On one planet, 2 alien races were fighting over water rights. On another, a disease was killing millions because no one could figure out how to cure it. There were worlds where the people were starving because their crops wouldn't grow, and others where advanced technology was being used to hurt people instead of help them. "The keepers try to solve these problems," Marcus explained. "But there are too many problems and too few keepers. The Dominion's solution is to take control of these worlds and force everyone to follow their rules. But humans might be able to find better solutions." Dr. Sarah Kim, a scientist from Korea, spoke up. "How would we do that? We don't even have spaceships yet." "We don't need spaceships to start helping," Marcus said. "We have something better. We have each other." Marcus asked the tablet to show images of Earth. The room filled with pictures of humans working together to solve problems. There were doctors, sharing medical knowledge across countries, farmers teaching each other new growing techniques, and engineers collaborating on projects that no single person could complete alone. "Look at what we've already accomplished," Marcus said. "We've cured diseases, explored our own planet, and learned to communicate instantly across vast distances. And we did it all by working together, even when we come from different places and believe different things." General Rodriguez nodded slowly. "You're saying we could teach other worlds how to cooperate like we do?" Not exactly like we do, Marcus said. Every world would need to find its own way. But humans are good at understanding different perspectives. We could help them find solutions that work for everyone. President Williams looked thoughtful. And you think this would satisfy both the Keepers and the Dominion? Marcus sat back down. I think it might surprise them both. The Keepers want someone to continue their work of helping others. The Dominion wants to prevent chaos and war. If humans could prove that we can bring peace without destroying freedom, maybe both sides would be willing to try something new. Mrs. Carter spoke for the first time during the meeting. There's something else you all should know. Marcus isn't the only one who can activate these devices. Everyone turned to look at her. What do you mean? Asked Chancellor Mueller. Mrs. Carter opened her old leather purse and pulled out another crystal tablet, smaller than Marcus's but glowing with the same blue light. My grandmother's device activated the day Marcus touched his, she said. And according to the news reports I've been watching, similar objects have started glowing in museums and private collections all over the world. Marcus felt excitement growing in his chest. How many? At least 50 that have been reported so far, Mrs. Carter replied. Maybe more. Dr. Kim leaned forward eagerly. So other humans can access this alien knowledge too? It seems that way, Mrs. Carter said. But only after Marcus activated the first one. It's like he opened a door for the rest of us. Marcus looked around the room at all the world leaders. Don't you see? This proves that the choice isn't just mine to make. Humans all over Earth are being given access to this knowledge. We're supposed to make this decision together. President Williams stood up. What exactly are you proposing? Marcus took a deep breath. I want to tell Zara and Commander Vex that we're grateful for their offers, but we're going to try a different approach. We want to learn from the Keepers, but we want to do it here on Earth. And we want to prove to the Dominion that humans can be trusted by actually helping solve galactic problems, instead of just talking about it. And if they refuse? Asked General Rodriguez. Marcus looked out the window again at the two alien ships. Then at least we'll have tried to find a solution that respects everyone's concerns. And maybe that's what will convince them that humans really are different from the other races they've encountered. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then President Williams smiled. You know what, Marcus? I think you might be onto something. When do we give them our answer? Marcus checked the time on the wall clock. In about 6 hours. Then we'd better get started, President Williams said. We have a lot of phone calls to make. 6 hours later, Marcus stood in the middle of the street again. This time, he was not alone. President Williams stood on his left, and Mrs. Carter stood on his right. Behind them were dozens of world leaders, scientists, and ordinary people, who had crystal tablets that were now glowing bright blue. Jake Morrison and Tony Cruz were there too. Marcus had been surprised when they showed up at his house an hour earlier, looking embarrassed and nervous. We saw you on TV, Jake had said, shuffling his feet. And we wanted to say we're sorry for being mean to you. Also, Tony had added, we want to help if we can. This is bigger than school stuff. Now they stood with everyone else waiting for the aliens to emerge from their ships. The whole world was watching on television and the internet. Every news channel was broadcasting live from Marcus's small town. Zara came out of the white crystalline ship first. She moved gracefully across the park, her robes flowing in the evening breeze. Commander Vex emerged from the dark ship at the same time, his heavy boots making the ground shake with each step. Both aliens stopped when they saw the crowd of humans waiting for them. You have gathered many witnesses, Zara observed, looking around at all the people and cameras. We wanted everyone to hear our answer, Marcus said. Humans make important decisions together. Commander Vex crossed his arms over his armored chest. Have you decided to submit to Dominion authority? We have decided to try something different, President Williams said, stepping forward. We want to propose a third option that might work. Better for everyone. Both aliens looked surprised. Marcus held up his crystal tablet and all the other tablet holders did the same. The combined blue light was so bright that it lit up the entire street like daytime. We've been thinking about what you both said, Marcus began. Zara, You told us the Keepers need help because there are too many problems in the galaxy and not enough peacekeepers. Commander Vex, you said humans are dangerous because we might become too powerful and disrupt the order you've created. That is correct, both aliens said at the same time. Marcus smiled. What if we could solve both problems at once? He gestured to Dr. Kim, who stepped forward with her own glowing tablet. Over the past 3 days, we've been using these devices to learn about the galaxy's biggest problems. We've also been sharing that knowledge with scientists, doctors, teachers, and regular people all over Earth. Dr. Kim touched her tablet, and it projected images into the air for everyone to see. We discovered something interesting. Many of the problems that the Keepers can't solve are problems that humans have already learned to handle on Earth. The first image showed the alien world where 2 races were fighting over water rights. On this planet, the Zenthari and the Aquari have been at war for 50 years because they both need the same water source, Dr. Kim explained. But humans have faced similar problems. We've learned to share resources and create agreements that work for everyone. Marcus nodded. We could teach them how to build systems for sharing water fairly, just like we've done with rivers that cross between different countries on Earth. The next image showed the world where a disease was spreading. The Keepers can't cure this plague because it affects emotions as well as the body, Dr. Kim continued. The Zenthari only understand the physical symptoms, and the Emotai are too overwhelmed by the feelings to think clearly. But humans understand both sides. Our doctors work with both medicine and psychology, added Dr. Martinez, a physician from Spain who was holding another glowing tablet. We could help them create treatments that heal both the body and the mind. Commander Vex made his grinding sound. Even if you could solve a few problems, you are still too young as a species. You have no experience with space travel or advanced technology. Mrs. Carter stepped forward. You're right, we don't have spaceships yet, but we have something that might be even more valuable. She touched her tablet and new images appeared. These showed scenes from Earth's history. People from different countries working together during natural disasters, scientists sharing discoveries across borders, and communities coming together to help their neighbors during hard times. Humans don't need to travel to other worlds to start helping, Mrs. Carter said. We can share our knowledge and experience through the Keeper communication networks. We can teach other races how to cooperate and solve problems together, just like we've learned to do here on Earth. Jake Morrison raised his hand like he was in school. Can I say something? Everyone looked at him in surprise. Marcus nodded, encouragingly. I used to pick on Marcus because I was angry about stuff at home, Jake said, his face turning red. But these past few days, working on this project with him, I learned that being angry doesn't actually fix anything. Working together does. Tony Cruz nodded. Yeah, and we figured out that Marcus isn't weak like we thought. He's actually really brave. It takes guts to try to help someone even after they've been mean to you. Marcus felt his chest warm with pride, not just for himself but for his former bullies who were now trying to do the right thing. Zara looked thoughtful. You are proposing to become advisors rather than rulers? Exactly, President Williams said. Humans would remain on Earth for now, but we would use the Keeper communication technology to help other worlds solve their problems. We would share our knowledge of cooperation, negotiation, and finding solutions that work for everyone. And what about our concerns? Commander Vex demanded. How do we know you won't eventually become too powerful and threaten galactic stability? Marcus looked at the alien commander directly. Because we're not trying to gain power over anyone. We're trying to help everyone become more powerful themselves. When people can solve their own problems, they don't need someone else to control them. General Rodriguez stepped forward. We're also proposing a trial period. Give us 1 year to prove that our approach works. If we can help solve problems without creating new ones, then maybe you'll trust us with bigger responsibilities. If we fail, we'll accept whatever consequences you think are fair. The street fell silent except for the humming of the alien ships and the distant sound of news helicopters overhead. Marcus watched both aliens carefully, trying to read their expressions. Finally, Zara spoke. This is not what we expected when we came here, Commander Vex grunted. Nor is it what the Dominion anticipated. But, Zara continued, It shows exactly the kind of creative thinking that made us believe humans might be ready for a larger role in the galaxy. Marcus held his breath. The Keepers accept your proposal, Zara said. We will provide you with communication technology and access to information about worlds that need help. You will have 1 year to prove that your methods work. Everyone looked at Commander Vex. The alien stood motionless for a long moment, his red eyes scanning the crowd of humans. The Dominion will observe this experiment, he said finally. If your methods create chaos or instability, we will intervene. But if you can truly bring peace without force, then perhaps there is value in your approach. Marcus felt like his heart might burst with happiness. Around him, people were cheering and crying and hugging each other. The crystal tablets were all glowing so brightly now that they looked like stars fallen to Earth. Thank you, Marcus said to both aliens. We won't let you down. As the crowd celebrated, Marcus looked up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, entire worlds were waiting for help. And for the first time in galactic history, that help was going to come not from conquest or control, but from the simple human belief that everyone deserved a chance to find their own path to peace. 1 year later, Marcus sat at his desk in what used to be his bedroom but was now called the Earth Coordination Center. The walls were covered with screens showing different worlds across the galaxy. Each screen displayed the progress being made on problems that had seemed impossible to solve just 12 months ago. Mrs. Carter knocked on his door and came in carrying a tray with milk and cookies. She was officially his assistant now, but she still made sure he ate properly and got enough sleep. How are we doing today? She asked, setting the tray down next to his crystal tablet, which had grown larger and more complex over the past year. Really? Well? Marcus said, pointing to one of the screens. The water-sharing project on Zenthari Prime is working perfectly. The Zenthari and the Aquari signed a permanent peace treaty yesterday. On the screen, Marcus could see representatives from both alien races working together at a massive water treatment facility. The Zenthari had contributed their engineering skills while the Aquari had provided their deep understanding of water systems. But it was the human-designed negotiation process that had made their cooperation possible. And look at this, Marcus continued, pointing to another screen. Dr. Martinez's emotional healing program has almost completely stopped the plague on Emotai 7. The patients are learning to manage their feelings while the medicine treats their bodies. Mrs. Carter smiled proudly. Your mother would be so proud if she could see this. Marcus's mother had been chosen as one of Earth's first galactic ambassadors. She was currently on the Keeper homeworld, learning advanced diplomatic techniques that she would teach to other humans when she returned. His father had been selected for a similar program and was working with reformed Dominion worlds to help them transition from military rule to cooperative governments. A soft chime came from Marcus's tablet. New symbols appeared, indicating an incoming message from across the galaxy. It's from Commander Vex, Marcus said, reading the translation. Mrs. Carter leaned over to look. The message was simple but important. Request immediate consultation. Dominion High Command wishes to implement human conflict resolution methods on 12 additional worlds. Previous methods have proven inferior to human approach. Marcus grinned. He's asking for our help again. Over the past year, Commander Vex had become one of humanity's most surprising allies. After watching human methods succeed where Dominion force had failed, he had become convinced that cooperation was more effective than control. He still commanded Dominion ships, but now they were used to protect worlds while human advisors helped solve underlying problems. Another chime indicated a message from Zara. Young Guardian, the Keeper Council has reached a decision. We would like to discuss the next phase of human involvement in galactic affairs. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Outside, his small town had changed completely. The park where Zara's ship had first landed was now a beautiful garden where children from dozens of worlds came to play together. The school that had once been the site of his worst days was now the Galaxy Institute for Cooperative Problem Solving, where young beings from across the stars learned human methods of negotiation and teamwork. Jake Morrison and Tony Cruz walked by the window, leading a group of young Zenthari who were visiting Earth to learn about human sports. The former bullies had become two of the most effective youth counselors in the galaxy, using their own experiences with anger and change to help other young beings who were struggling. "Mrs. Carter," Marcus said, "I think we're about to get some big news." An hour later, Marcus stood in the same street where he had first met the aliens 1 year ago. This time, representatives from dozens of worlds were present. The street had been expanded into a large plaza to accommodate beings of all different sizes and shapes. Zara stood at the center of the plaza, her glow brighter than Marcus had ever seen it. Next to her, Commander Vex had removed his armor and was wearing simple gray robes that made him look much less threatening. "Friends from across the galaxy," Zara began, her musical voice carrying clearly to everyone present. 1 year ago, we came to Earth expecting to find either a new servant, species, or a threat that needed to be eliminated. Instead, we found something none of us had imagined possible. She gestured toward Marcus and the other humans who were scattered throughout the crowd. "We found teachers." Commander Vex stepped forward. "The Dominion has maintained order in the galaxy for 3,000 years through strength and control. But in just 1 year, human methods have brought more lasting peace than we achieved in centuries of military rule." Marcus felt his cheeks warm with pride, but also with the weight of responsibility. The Zenthari worlds report a 97% reduction in conflict since implementing human negotiation techniques. Zara continued. "The Emotai systems have seen their first stable governments in 500 years. Even the Korthak tribes have learned to channel their warrior instincts into protecting others rather than conquering them." A new figure stepped forward from the crowd. Marcus recognized her as Ambassador Lin Chen, one of Earth's representatives to the Galactic Council. She was smiling widely. "The Council has voted," Ambassador Chen announced. "By unanimous decision, humans are invited to become full members of the galactic community, not as subjects or rulers, but as partners." The plaza erupted in celebration. Beings from dozens of worlds were cheering, singing, and making whatever sounds indicated joy in their cultures. Marcus found himself being lifted onto the shoulders of a friendly Korthak warrior, while Jake and Tony high-fived some young Emotai who had learned the human gesture. But the biggest surprise came when Zara approached Marcus as the celebration continued around them. "Young Guardian," she said, "the Keepers have one final gift for humanity." She held out a new crystal tablet, larger and more beautiful than any Marcus had seen before. This one seemed to contain swirling galaxies within its surface. "This is the Master Archive," Zara explained. "It contains the combined knowledge and wisdom of every species the Keepers have ever encountered. We are giving it to humans not because you are the strongest or the smartest, but because you are the wisest." Marcus took the tablet carefully. It was warm and seemed to pulse with life. "What makes us wise?" he asked. Zara smiled. "You understand that true strength comes not from power over others, but from helping others find their own power. You know that the best solutions are not the ones imposed by force, but the ones that everyone helps to create." Commander Vex nodded, in agreement. "The Dominion spent millennia trying to create peace through control, but you showed us that lasting peace can only come from understanding." As the celebration continued into the night, Marcus found himself thinking about how much had changed since that day, when he sat crying in his bedroom after being bullied at school. He had thought he was weak then, but he had learned that his gentleness was actually a kind of strength. His willingness to forgive had turned enemies into friends. His refusal to give up had opened doors to the stars. Mrs. Carter appeared beside him, still carrying her small crystal tablet. "So what happens now?" she asked. Marcus looked up at the night sky, where ships from 100 worlds were arriving to celebrate humanity's acceptance into the galactic community. "Now we keep doing what we've always done," he said. "We help people solve their problems together." He looked around the plaza at all the different beings who were laughing and talking and sharing stories with each other. Humans, Keepers, Reformed, Dominion soldiers, Zenthari scientists, Emotai artists, and Korthak warriors, all working together to build something better than any of them could have created alone. "And we remember," Marcus added, "that the best way to stop being afraid of someone is to help them stop being afraid too." The crystal tablet in his hands pulsed with gentle light, and Marcus knew that this was not the end of the story. It was just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure, not conquering the galaxy but helping it learn to conquer its own problems through cooperation, understanding, and hope.